Welcome to part 2 of my video about turning stuffed animals into puppets. So, I left off talking about this guy. Now, when I make the head on this guy, what I did is I put a piece of fabric here, and I pulled it right to here. And I filled it with stuffing, and then I hot glued it here. I put another piece of fabric right here, pulled it to the back of the head here, and filled that with stuffing. The reason why is because that keeps that bulb form on its nose. If I had just took a piece of fabric here and dragged it all the way to the back of the head and put filling in here, instead of this coming down like this for the eyes and then coming out like this for the nose, it just would have sloped, and it looks awful that way. So that's actually how I did that. That is one piece of fabric inside trapping filling, and then this is another one. The bottom doesn't have any, it's just my finger, and then just the plates. I added the tongue. But he's pretty easy. There's still a little stuffing in the arms because they're big, but for the most part it's just my fingers. And what I like is he has that cartoony, floppy look. Now, another one I did. Oh, you know what? Before I get to this one. One of the things about these stuffed animals is sometimes they make great puppets, and they look like they're going to make great puppets. Sometimes they're not going to work. Some are perfect for making those mouths. But I have had a lot that did not work out well. For example, this pig. Now, this pig looked great. And then I gave him a mouth. Now, I don't know how well it comes up in the video, but it kind of pinches inside. He looks awful. He just looks horrible. I did something wrong when I put the fabric in there. His cheeks, what made him different from the others is he had these big puffy cheeks, and I didn't do a good job of making sure the filling was there. And I fought this thing. I gave him a belly. His head still looks way bigger than his body. He turned out terribly. Unfortunately, that's going to happen. My best bet with him probably would have been just to keep him a glove puppet and not bother putting a mouth. He had a small face to begin with, so I was kind of chancing it. Did not work out. When you add the mouth, your best bet is to do that with the bigger puppets. Now, that's not always the case. Here's an example of one that has a small mouth. The only reason this probably worked out is his mouth was already built in. I didn't have to cut anything. In fact, all I did was add the tongue. Now, the only problem is, the biggest part on him is his head. I can't put my hand through this part. So I cut here, and unfortunately it's quite a bit of a cut. You can see that. And you can only get fingers in there. So, right now, I've just got these fingers like that. So he's kind of a little hard to maneuver. But what makes him worth trying, besides his look, the way his body is shaped, he actually wraps right around your arm. So he's a great little puppet visually. Let me try to get more of him on here. So he is worth having. He is worth doing. He takes a little bit more work than the others. And if you have a story that involves pirate serpents, great. Now, here's another example. I love this one. He's very small. This was one that was given to me from... I was given a bunch of stuffed animals. And I didn't do anything but just cut a hole in the bottom and glue that flap over so that way it didn't come apart. But he... let's see here. I gotta get my fingers in him. So this one actually takes all 5 fingers. I feel like I'm going to break him. I feel like I'm going to have to repair him. So, this is just a little bunny rabbit. Now this was, I believe, an Easter rabbit. I got a bunch of those from that pile. And all I did was cut a hole in the bottom, pull out the stuffing, and I've got my thumb in here, my pinky in here, and then my middle finger up here, and then the other 2 fingers there. And another non-threatening puppet. Great for clowns that need walk-arounds. They can just stick them in their pocket. And because of the way his feet are, he's just always sitting, so you can just hold him like this. So I'd go up and have people scratch his ear. And just tell him, will you scratch his ear? And just have him tap his feet. So he's a really cute one. Now, I have done some bigger ones. I did not bring the dog or the frog. Those were the first ones I did. The dog worked out great. He's just like that little dog I showed. You have to do the little nose thing, trap the, let's see, just like this guy. Put the stuffing in here, glue it right there, just on a bigger scale. The larger puppets work great for mouths. You know, these smaller ones, it's a little harder to get in there. There's not a lot of room. When you're making them from scratch, it's a lot easier because you're building it from scratch. You're at the beginning step. Here I'm trying to work with a pre-built design and not ruin it. But with the bigger puppets, you have a lot more room. I was hitting thrift stores. I was hitting Walmart for clearance sales after Christmas. That's where I got the dogs. The best ones by far, the frogs came out okay. The dogs and the moose came out great. But I did bring a few. I brought a couple. This is a dolphin I found at thrift store. Again, started to cut right there. You can kind of see how big he is. He goes right on the shoulder. And I cut a hole right in there. The hot glue kind of became a mess here, so you can see where I covered it up. I added a ton. He was actually a bit of a pain to work on. He's also a little big to carry around. But that's an example of one. I just paid $4 at thrift store. A really good one I like. I paid, I think, 75 cents for this guy. And that's a lion. And he is great. He's cartoony. You see the nice eyes. Just like the dog. Put a little pocket of foam there, or filling. Same with the head. Just cut a hole and put the plates there. I added the tongue. I got a little messy in here with the glue. But, again, I was learning. It just goes through the back of the head. So, again, I put a little pocket here, put the filling in. One up here to trap all that. Only problem with this, if you find any of these puppets that have the styrofoam beads instead of like the polyfill, they're a pain to work with. He's a great looking puppet. You can hear that polyfill, or those beads, I'm sorry. But I probably would never want to do another one of these again. It took forever. I burned myself so much. They're just a pain. So try to stick to the ones with the actual cotton filling rather than these little beads. But still, he turned out great. So that's how you make puppets from stuffed animals. It's really easy, depending on how much ever you put into it. 15 minutes, 45 minutes, hour and a half. The larger ones take about an hour and a half. You can make some great looking puppets. You just have to try. And if one gets ruined, don't be frustrated. That's why you hit the thrift stores. Get the cheap used. So, thank you for watching. And I will have an update for you on the other puppets as soon as I can.